Saya tak nak pergi ke sekolah hari ini. Mata saya rasa penat dan lesu.
Inilah akibatnya jika terlalu banyak menonton televisyen dan bermain permainan video. Cepat bawa beg sekolah kamu. Oh, Yao, kenapa kamu nampak letih sekali?
Kakak 18, mata saya rasa lesu dan penat hari ini.
Mari, biar kakak sediakan secawan Good Morning with Grains untuk Yao.
Wah! Good morning, Big Grains. Sungguh enak. Mak dan ayah pun suka. Mereka cakap, inilah kurniaan alam semula jadi untuk kita semua.
Iya, tepat sekali. Bijirin sememangnya hasil kurniaan alam semula jadi. Yao terokai keindahan dunia dengan penglihatan yang cerah. Good Morning Big Grains bukan saja mengandungi 18 jenis bijirin, bahkan ia juga mengandungi tambahan 7 ramuan unik. Di antaranya ialah beri biru dan lutein yang melindungi penglihatan kita.
Bijirin? 7 ramuan unik?
Betul tu. Cuba Yayau lihat di sini. Inilah modul piramid makanan seimbang. Jika kita perhatikan dari aras paling bawah ke atas, yang mana satu paling penting sekali?
Kekacang, beras dan barley.
Ya, betul. Ini adalah kesemua bijirin yang badan kita perlukan. Sebenarnya, bijirin adalah benih tumbuh-tumbuhan. Ia juga merupakan sumber tenaga yang penuh dengan daya kehidupan. Bila biji benih ditanam di dalam tanah dan mendapat cahaya matahari serta air yang cukupi, ia akan bercambah dan bertumbuh. Sebaliknya, beras putih yang telah diproses sudah kehilangan daya kehidupan dan tidak mampu untuk bercambah lagi. Good Morning Big Grains dihasilkan menggunakan teknologi yang paling maju dari Jepun. Ia adalah hasil gabungan 18 jenis bijirin dan mampu menyediakan nutrisi yang lengkap dan seimbang untuk seluruh tubuh badan kita. Ia juga mengandungi 7 ramuan unik iaitu ubi keledek ungu, beri biru, lutein, kalsium rumpai laut, lecithin soya, inulin prebiotik dan serat larut air. Ubi keledek ungu kaya dengan antioksidan. Manakala beri biru dan lutein memperbaiki dan melindungi daya penglihatan kanak-kanak. Ianya juga menggalakkan kesihatan otak pada kanak-kanak, menguatkan pertumbuhan gigi dan tulang dan juga sistem keimunan mereka. Bagi orang dewasa pula, ia membekalkan pelbagai nutrien seperti mineral, serat pemakanan serta vitamin. Ia juga membantu mengawal fungsi gastro-usus dan meningkatkan bilangan sel darah merah dalam badan. Ianya adalah hidangan lengkap yang menyalurkan tenaga kepada badan. Ujian klinikal serat Fabisol 2 dari Jepun membuktikannya berkesan untuk merendahkan paras kolesterol, tekanan darah, gula darah dan berat badan. Ia juga mengandungi kalsium rumpai laut yang mudah diserap oleh tulang. Jadi, ia baik untuk mengurangkan masalah osteoporosis warga tua. Manakala lecithin soya pula mencegah penyakit Alzheimer, menjaga kecerdasan otak dan melindungi kesihatan jantung.
Jadi ia minumannya sungguh padat dengan nutrisi?
Bukan itu saja, Yao. Jika kita minum Good Morning Big Grains setiap hari, badan kita boleh menyerap 100% nutrien bijirin. Mari kita ambil beras perang sebagai contoh. 66% nutrien beras datang daripada embrio yang mengandungi serat pemakanan, protein, vitamin dan mineral. 29% nutrien datang daripada lapisan bran yang mengandungi serat, vitamin B dan zat besi. Biasanya, bila kita makan beras yang telah diproses, lapisan bran dan embrio beras telah dipisah untuk meningkatkan rasa dan aromanya. Jadi, cuma tinggal 5% nutrien sahaja dan kesemua 5% ini adalah kanji. Maksudnya, setiap kali kita makan semangkuk nasi putih 100 gram, kita sudah makan 85 gram gula putih. Sebaliknya, Good Morning Big Grains menggunakan keseluruhan bijirin penuh semula jadi yang menyimpan 100% nutrien bijirin. Kini, kita dapat menikmati bijirin yang lazat ini dengan lebih mudah dan segera. Oleh kerana 18 bijirin itu telah pun dimasak, ia boleh dibuat sama ada dengan air sejuk atau panas. Mudah, enak dan berkhasiat.
Terima kasih Kakak 18. Kini, saya sudah tahu rahsia Good Morning Big Grains. Bolehkah saya ambil sekali untuk dibawa pulang ke rumah? Untuk Mak, Ayah dan Datuk. Good morning, Big Brains. Enaknya.
Hi guys, welcome to this episode. My name is Xiang and today I would like to share you some info and knowledge about gluten. So our topic today is what is gluten? As you can see, now gluten-free diets are becoming increasingly popular nowadays. So in the market, as you can see, you can find that there are a lot of the products and also the items that sold in the market is labeled as gluten-free. Well, what is actually gluten? We might heard a lot about gluten at the outside or at the market, but what is exactly gluten? So before that, let's talk about a little bit about gluten. For many foods, gluten will gives you the soft, chewy texture, elasticity, and also the stretchy quality. And it is often used in food production as a thickening agent or stabilizer in some foods. When the gluten heated, the gluten protein will actually form an elastic network that will actually trap those gases around us, and then which will make your bread, okay, you can see your bread is actually rising but not flattened, and this is the contribution of the gluten. So what is actually gluten? Gluten is a combination of two proteins that you can naturally found in the grains such as wheat, barley, and also rye. Well, how does gluten affect our body? If you have an intolerance to the gluten, you may actually suffer from some disease such as celiac disease and also weight allergy, non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Well, what is celiac disease? So what is celiac disease? Celiac disease is a digestive condition that is triggered by eating gluten. Actually, it is not a food allergy, but it is an autoimmune reaction. So your immune system will attack the gluten and the lining of the small intestine. So this can interfere with absorption of some nutrients from food such as fiber, iron, vitamin B, and many more, and eventually lead to some health problems that you don't really like it, such as osteoporosis. Other than that, gluten intolerance also includes some unpleasant symptoms such as digestive problem, skin rashes, weight loss, headache, bone loss, and etc. So currently we can actually see a lot of people maybe around us, they are actually practicing this gluten-free diet. And if you are suffering from this gluten intolerance, you may also choose this kind of foods which label the gluten-free product or gluten-free food. And other than that, you may also choose those gluten-free foods such as meat, dairy product, fruits and veggie. They are mostly free from gluten. And because of the trends of gluten-free, because nowadays gluten-free is quite popular, so most of the people, they think that those items with gluten-free or gluten-free products, they think this kind of items, they are more healthier compared to another. But remember that those food with gluten-free doesn't mean that the food are more healthier, more low in calories, or more natural. It's the same. A gluten-free food doesn't mean that the food is more healthier. Let's think about that. Gluten-free junk food is still considered as junk food, so it doesn't matter. Besides, gluten-free food doesn't mean that that particular food is completely 100% no gluten, but it can be considered as a very small amount of gluten inside the food. So you cannot say that gluten-free food is actually completely free from gluten. It may be a little bit. And there are some popular questions regarding gluten. So the first question will be, should everyone eat gluten-free to eat healthier? The answer is no, because it is really a diet for people who have a health condition that makes gluten hurt their gut, like some chronic digestive disorder, such as, like I said just now, celiac disease. So if you don't have this kind of issues, you may actually continue to have a gluten diet. So question number 2, can gluten-free diet help us to lose extra weight? The answer is no. If you really want to lose weight, you can actually try to cut back on processed foods and snacks. Or instead, you can fill up on whole foods and watch your portion size. The last question is, do all grains contain gluten? Well, the answer is no. Such as rice, quinoa, buckwheat, and also millet, they are all gluten-free. And lastly, our product, pea protein 18 grains and 𝐒𝐿 are plant and vegetarian based complete nutrition powder beverages. And both products are free from gluten. So for those who are suffering or not suffering from gluten allergy, both parties can actually take it to get the complete nutrition in a day. So if you want to buy 𝐒𝐿 or pea protein 18 grains, you can just buy our products through our official website. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So see you soon. Goodbye.
Kita sering mengalami masalah kekurangan nutrisi penting dalam badan. Tabiat gaya hidup yang sibuk lebih cenderung kepada waktu makan dan pengambilan nutrisi yang tidak teratur. Nutrisi yang tidak seimbang akan mendatangkan pelbagai masalah bagi kanak-kanak dan remaja, dan apabila meningkat dewasa dan usia tua, badan menjadi lemah, lesu dan mudah mendapat pelbagai penyakit. Pengambilan makanan yang lengkap dan seimbang terdiri daripada karbohidrat, vitamin dan mineral, protein, serat serta lemak. Tetapi adakah semua itu boleh diambil dalam satu hidangan? Sebab itu, saya memilih 𝐒𝐿. Lebih mudah apabila semua nutrisi terdapat di dalam satu cawan. Good morning 𝐒𝐿. Minuman pertama, produk buatan Malaysia yang bernutrisi lengkap dan berasaskan tumbuhan. Ia sesuai diminum oleh mereka yang mengalami intoleransi laktosa. Kajian oleh Universiti Tempatan menunjukkan bahawa lebih daripada 90% populasi Malaysia mengalami intoleransi laktosa. Intoleransi laktosa boleh menyebabkan perut kembung dan diarrhea. Good morning 𝐒𝐿 membantu meningkatkan sistem imunisasi, merendahkan risiko penyakit dan meningkatkan daya serta kekuatan tubuh badan. Keluarga bahagia bermula dengan keluarga yang sihat, dan saya di usia 52 tahun masih aktif, kuat dan sihat semestinya dengan Good morning 𝐒𝐿.
When it comes to losing weight and increasing lean muscle mass, protein is the single most important nutrient. Consuming enough protein can boost metabolism and reduce appetite. When we think of protein, we tend to think of meat and animal products. However, you can get enough protein daily just from plant-based foods. To maintain an active lifestyle and a healthy weight, I do consume protein shakes on a daily basis, and I would highly recommend the pea protein by Good Morning. This pea protein is a plant-based complete nutrition drink containing 18 types of multigrains, 28 types of mineral and vitamin, and enhanced with all 9 essential amino acids. For someone who is lactose intolerant and has a sensitive stomach, it is perfect because it's gluten-free, dairy-free, and has no GMO protein ingredients. This is a healthy and natural choice of protein for everybody.
Until only a few years ago, almost the whole of the scientific world maintained that the wheat protein gluten would provoke negative effects only in people with rare conditions, such as celiac disease or wheat allergies. But by the early part of 2013, it was largely becoming accepted that some non-celiac patients could suffer from gluten or wheat sensitivity. And indeed, a consensus panel of experts now officially recognizes 3 gluten-related conditions: wheat allergy, celiac disease, and gluten sensitivity. So what percent of the population should avoid wheat? Well, about 1 in 1,000 may have a wheat allergy, nearly 1 in 100 may have celiac disease, and it appears to be on the rise, though there's still less than about a 1 in 10,000 chance Americans will get diagnosed with celiac in any given year. How common is wheat or gluten sensitivity? Our best estimate at this point is that it's in that same kind of general range, slightly higher than 1%, but still that's potentially millions of people who may have been suffering for years, who could have been cured by simple dietary means, yet went unrecognized and unhelped by the medical profession. Although gluten sensitivity continues to gain medical credibility, we still don't know how it works, or how much gluten can be tolerated, if it's reversible or not, and what the long-term complications might be of not sticking to the diet. Considering the lack of knowledge, maybe people with gluten sensitivity should be trying to reintroduce gluten back into their diet every year or so to see if it's still causing problems. The reason health professionals don't want to see people on gluten-free diets unless absolutely necessary is that for the 98% of people that don't have gluten issues, whole grains, including the gluten grains, wheat, barley, and rye, are health-promoting, linked to reduced risk of coronary heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity, and other chronic diseases. Just like because some people have a peanut allergy doesn't mean that everyone should avoid peanuts. There's no evidence to suggest that following a gluten-free diet has any significant benefits in the general population. Indeed, there is some evidence to suggest that a gluten-free diet may adversely affect gut health in those without celiac disease or gluten sensitivity or allergy. They're talking about this study that found that a month on a gluten-free diet may hurt our gut flora and immune function, potentially setting those on gluten-free diets up for an overgrowth of harmful bacteria in their intestines. Why? Because ironically of the beneficial effects of the very components wheat-sensitive people have problems with, like the FODMAP fructans that act as prebiotics and feed our good bacteria, or the gluten itself, which may boost immune function. Less than a week of added gluten protein significantly increases natural killer cell activity, which could be expected to improve our body's ability to fight cancer and viral infections. High gluten bread improves triglyceride levels better than regular gluten bread, as another example. Ironically, one of the greatest threats of gluten-free diets may be the gluten itself. Self-prescription of a gluten-free diet may undermine our ability to pick up celiac disease, the much more serious form of gluten intolerance. The way we diagnose celiac is by looking for the inflammation caused by gluten in celiac sufferers. But if they haven't been eating a lot of gluten, we might miss the disease. Hence, rather than being on a gluten-free diet, we want celiac suspects to be on a gluten-loaded diet. We're talking 4 to 6 slices of gluten-packed bread a day, every day, for at least a month, so we can definitively diagnose the disease. Why does it matter so much to get a formal diagnosis if you're already on a gluten-free diet? Well, it's a genetic disease, so you'll know to test the family. But most importantly, many people on gluten-free diets are not actually on gluten-free diets. Even 20 parts per million can be toxic to someone with celiac. Many on so-called gluten-free diets inadvertently still eat gluten. Sometimes there's contamination of gluten-free products, so even foods labeled quote-unquote gluten-free may still not be safe for celiac sufferers. That's why we need to know. The irony, editorialized in a prominent medical journal, of many celiac patients not knowing their diagnosis, while millions of non-sufferers banish gluten from their diets, can be considered a public health farce.